Come here, baby. Come here, bubs. Okay, so this morning I had the weirdest lucid dream. Let's see. Where's that guy at? Chuck Norris. Chuck Norris. Oh crap. Oh, maybe I. Okay, well, I gotta remember that name. Come here, Tora. Yeah. So this morning I had the weirdest lucid dream, and they haven't given me a gas station. Well, it was still virtual reality, but more like lucid dream. But it's pretty virtual reality too, but very artificial feeling. Come here, Tora. Yeah, so, okay, and like I say, they've given me, scenarios where I'm going up to the gas station or driving to the gas station. In this scenario, I was in a motorcycle. Yeah, and I was doing weird things too. I don't know, I was driving it really weird too. And then I remember another motorcyclist pulled up next to me. It was kind of like I was at the one right down here. That's what the aliens were trying to copy off, that signal down here in real life. And so basically, come here, Tora. Yeah, so basically, and I'm sure I'm forgetting a lot because it was a dream. So I'm kind of forgetting a lot, but I remember most of it. But, and it was, wait a minute. Was it daylight or was it dark? Well, some parts of it almost seemed like it was daylight, and other parts it was dark. It was nighttime. But anyway, I just remember doing weird maneuvers on my motorcycle around the parking lot, and then I pulled up, and like I say, eventually another motorcyclist pulled up, but I had some conversations with some people, a couple guys. I remember having some conversations, and I remember standing there. I went inside, and at that time it was light because the lights were on and everything inside the gas station. Oh yeah, I was standing there, and for whatever reason, I went to get. Okay, I probably wouldn't talk about it if it wasn't for this piece of information. I mean, this piece of the dream, but so like, it was it was disgusting. Okay, so for whatever reason, I went inside the gas station, and it was like it seemed like it was a pretty big white styrofoam cup, and I was drinking coffee, but and the aliens know well, I'm allergic to coffee, so I can't drink coffee. And I used to try to drink some decaf, but then it seemed like I started to become allergic to decaf. I think because it's so acidic, it was bugging me, so I just haven't drank any of it in years. Not decaf either, because I don't know, it's still like, I think my body's detecting it as a poison because it's like acid. It's still like drinking acid or whatever. So like I said, I haven't touched it in many years, not even decaf. Okay, so I still love the smell, but anyway, so in the scenario, I was drinking this big old coffee, and I was drinking it, and like I said, there's a couple guys, and it almost seemed like my sister was standing around. There's a couple guys, and it seemed like my sister was kind of lingering around, and so I started drinking it, and the coffee part, like, I loved it. It tasted really good, the coffee part. But it was almost kind of like a coffee milkshake. I know it's really weird, but so the coffee, it was coffee, and I'm like, the coffee tastes good. But I was thinking in my head, I can't remember if I actually said it out loud, but I was thinking in my head, like, why is it so thick? Like, it was really thick. Not super thick, but you know what I'm saying? It was thick. And I was like, like, I wonder if, but that part repulsed me. Because I was like, I wonder if they're putting fillers in it. This coffee drink I was drinking. I was like, thinking in my head, like, why are they, I wonder if they're putting fillers, you know what I'm saying, to make it thicker. And the aliens, they know I'm obsessed with food and shit anyway, and chemicals in the food, and you know what I'm saying. So, and I was like, but I loved the coffee part. The coffee tasted great. I loved it. I could taste it and everything, but this was still very lucid dream. It was a dream. Like, just a very good dream. Okay, but so so I wasn't repulsed by the coffee. The coffee tasted excellent, and I could taste it. It tasted good. Didn't taste stale. It tasted fresh. But the part that repulsed me was, I'm like, why is it kind of thick? Because I knew it really shouldn't be thick. It's like I was drinking, I don't know, some kind of coffee with milk in it, but it shouldn't be thick. You know what I'm saying? I forgot what that drink is called. Not a latte. There's something else where it's like you put this much coffee. I forgot what it's called. You put that much coffee or espresso. I can't remember. I think it's a couple shots of espresso, and then the rest is like nothing but like half and half. That's called something else. I forgot what it's called though. It's not a latte. And it's almost like I was drinking that, but the whole time I was like thinking in my head, I hope they're not putting fillers in this like flour. I was thinking it almost tastes like they're putting. I was thinking all this in my head, like, are they putting fillers in it, like flour? And I'm thinking, well, shit, if that's the case, it's gonna have gluten and shit in it. So then I started kind of getting nervous, in the scenario. Although I still love the coffee taste, and then I started thinking, maybe it's oat flour that they were putting in it. But anyway, so I was thinking maybe it was flour, regular flour they were putting in it, or oat flour. And I was like, and what the weird thing is, I think it was coincidental. I don't think that would have transferred over to the physical body, but when I woke up, like, because sometimes those things in your ears, they get the little things. I don't know. You got little, what do you call it? Those little granules or whatever in your ears, and if they get out of whack, you can wake up and be very, very dizzy. But so I don't know. I kind of felt like I woke up really like hypoglycemic too, but I really don't think it was that so much. Well, I woke up that, but of course it had been probably almost 10, 12 hours since I had eaten. But I woke up with severe like vertigo. But once I got up and everything and started walking around and being upright, it eventually like went away. So I'm pretty sure it wasn't like, it wasn't hypoglycemia dizziness. It was a little bit of both though, because I guess I hadn't really eaten in a while, and then of course the little things got out of place, and every time you put your head down, or every time I lay down, it just made it worse. And then eventually on the daybed, I thought, okay, I'm gonna lay down flat and see, and just ride it out and see if it'll eventually go away. And then eventually it just kind of went away. But when I leaned my head down and wetted my hair down and everything, it was kind of like barely, just a little bit. It made me a little bit dizzy, but yeah. So I don't know. That was weird. So then I started thinking, because if I drink, I would feel way worse than what I did this morning if I really did physically drink coffee. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. That was just kind of weird. But I don't think that would have transferred over to the physical body, drinking, caffeine in my altered state or whatever. Unless the aliens actually injected me with caffeine or something, which I don't think they did. But, yeah, because that happens from time to time. I wake up like real dizzy. But there were a lot of times I was waking up real dizzy like that. It was from eating gluten the previous night, but I know I didn't eat any gluten. But I did just eat a couple bites of cheese. I don't know. When I opened it up, it smelled weird, and it's supposed to be gluten-free and everything. It's really expensive cheese that I ordered from the Azura Standard. It's organic and everything, but it has like vegetable enzymes in it, and I don't know. Like, who really knows, I called them and they said it's which that was the wrong answer, because she said that it was fungus. Well, I guess it is fungus, but it comes from any kind of vegetable or something. the vegetable enzymes or whatever. So I don't know. I think I just tripped myself out because I always get nervous about eating something that I've never eaten before. And I only ate just barely any, just a little bit. And then I gave my mom some big chunks of it. And I don't know if that would make me wake up real dizzy. But, like, I don't know, because it wasn't, because sometimes if I would eat gluten, back when I was getting all the symptoms, it was, I don't know, it was more of a spinning dizziness, I think. But anyway, this dizziness, I believe, it had something to do with the little things in my ears. But yeah, anyway, but it does happen from time to time, but hasn't happened in a while. Like, I don't know. But I'm just never gonna fucking order anything unless I already eaten it before. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. And I'm not even gonna eat that other cheese. I'm gonna give the rest to my mom. Because I ordered like 3 of them, 8 ounce. It's from Sierra Nevada or whatever. I don't know. I think I tripped myself out. Like, the cheese at Aldi's, I do fine with it. And I eat that Cabot cheese. You can get it at Walmart, and it says gluten-free, the Cabot cheese. So I don't know, so yeah, so that was a funny lucid dream I had this morning. Oh, shut up! I'm gonna kick your ass. All I'm doing is trying to pet you, shithead. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, so when was it? I think it was that morning before. This was like about a month ago. It was the morning before the Kool-Aid vats experience. And I forgot to mention how I was sleeping in that front bedroom, and Patty was sleeping by me. And for whatever reason, I think the aliens made me because I remember shoving her out of the way, pushing her off the bed. And after I woke up, I'm thinking, why did I do that? You know, but anyway, right before I did that, before I had a couple awesome out of body experience, you know, like the Kool-Aid vat experience at the ramen noodle factory. And this has happened before. I even walking around in broad daylight. Sometimes one time I was sitting over there on the floor trying to snap pictures, and you could smell a medicine kind of smell. I don't know, like the aliens are lingering around, like the medical aliens or something with their freaking medicine on them or whatever. But yeah, lots of times it happens when you're in bed, you know, not long before you wake up. So I smelled this medicine-y smell, this really gross medicine. It smelled like medicine. So I know the aliens are probably lingering around, but I don't think they gave me it or anything, because I was asking the aliens to try to help Patty with her hyperthyroid, you know, the night before. So I think maybe they were trying to help her, maybe. But yeah, you could smell the medicine sometimes. That medicine smell that they're roaming around with or whatever, it smells very medicine-y. It's gross. Like anesthesia medicine or something. And I smelled it one time, lots of times in the bed. And then one time, many years ago, around 2014, when I was sitting down on the floor and I was trying to get orbs. And I smelled that same smell, or a similar smell, very medicine smell. But like I said, I don't think they injected me with it, but they maybe were messing around with Patty, because I was asking them to try to fix Patty's hyperthyroid. So yeah, I forgot to mention that. And then these other 2 experiences, I had, which one should I talk about first? Yeah, it was just 2 days ago, and I slept on the day bed all night, and I woke up at 7:15, and I didn't get any good experiences yet. So I was asking the aliens, come on, aren't you going to give me some good lucid dreams or whatever? So then I fell back to sleep till about 10:15, and then I got 2 of them, 2 back to back. And and I was trying to give them ideas like take me to an abandoned apartment building or abandoned something or take me to another mansion. Or I was trying to give them ideas and stuff. So anyway, they took me to Seattle. I'll talk about that one first, but I actually had the other one first, and then the Seattle one second. And it's kind of funny because I've been watching the 4400, and they're hanging around Seattle and stuff. But in real life, I went there in real life about 30 years ago. I went there for 2 weeks in real life. I was roaming around Seattle, and I saw all the good stuff, the farm market or whatever, fish market or whatever. And okay, so but this experience was so weird because I had this was out of body experience, lucid dream. It was like a B experience, but I hadn't been thinking about karate or anything. I don't know why. I'm trying to think of why they would this is the weird part. Okay, so it started out. It was like me, my mom, my sister. Okay, we're walking around. Over here was the water, and I don't know what that water's called, but in real life, I did get on the ferry, and we went to a little island. It took about 15 minutes. It cost 75 cents. And it's really weird. Like, back then, for whatever reason, they kept giving us 50-cent pieces back when they would give us change back. I thought that was kind of weird, but I don't know why. But, like, it cost 75 cents, or maybe $1.75, but I think it was 75 cents to get on the little ferry. That was back in real life. And I stayed there 2 weeks. We stayed in Tacoma, and then we went to Seattle, hung around for several days or whatever. But under the scenario, okay, so basically the water was over here. Water was over here. Ocean, I don't know, maybe it's not called ocean, I don't know. The ocean or whatever was over here. And there were some railings, and we were outside. There were some railings over here, some railings. And there's a bunch of people walking around, some tourists, a bunch of tourists walking around. And I had my camera on me. And like I say, it was me, my mom, my sister. It seemed like there was a few other people that I knew too. And it's like we took a trip to Seattle. Okay, and I know I'm forgetting a lot of pieces too, because this was like an A+ experience. Because I remember at one point getting in a boat, and we were about to take a ride or whatever. But anyway, so the funny part was, okay, so so the funny part was, okay, so we were, the water was right here, the railings, and we were walking this way, like me, my mom, my sister, and I had my camera on me, and then all of a sudden, Chuck Norris, it looked like a cross between Chuck Norris and it seemed like they were getting ready to make a movie or something. Okay, Chuck Norris, and then it looked like a cross between Chuck Norris and that guy from They Live, Roddy Piper or something like that. Yeah, so it looked like a cross between them two. It was this person that kind of looked like Chuck Norris and the Roddy Piper dude. And the next thing I know, he's doing all these he's showing me all these real professional karate moves. I mean, totally professional. Totally professional. I mean, the most professional moves you could think of. Like expert moves you could think of. Right in front of me. And I was like, oh, I need to take a picture. And so I was about to take a picture. And he's like, no, here, I'll take a picture of you. And I'm like, but I wanted to take a picture of you doing those awesome karate moves. And then it's like I was trying to take a picture, and it was me trying to do some karate moves. That part was kind of weird, but that's not the first time the aliens have done weird stuff like that. Like, made me look at myself doing stuff. Yeah, so that was a little weird. And like I say, this was like the most professional karate moves. I mean, it was so weird, so expert looking and professional looking. Now, when I was doing the moves, it didn't look so great. But it's like, I told him I wanted to take a picture of him. And then he's like, no, here, let me have the camera. Let me have the camera, but then the next thing I know, I'm trying to take a picture, and it was me doing karate moves. So that was really weird. But like I said, I know I'm missing a lot. I'm forgetting a lot, but so we were in Seattle, and that was kind of weird and cool. But the first one I think was even better than the second one. But okay, so the awesome first OBE lucid dream I had, and like I say, this morning, it was kind of so artificial. It almost, you know, I was still out of body, but it was so artificial feeling. It was just more of a dream, even though there was a virtual reality part where I drank the coffee. But okay. So the first experience, the first experience, the aliens had placed me. I went back to visit my old apartment in Kansas, like I said, even under the scenario, it had been. How long was that? 20. Let's see, 2000. Yeah, even in experience, it had been 18, 20 years since I've been back there. And but anyway, so it started out. It's like I was wanting to go back and reminisce, whatever that word is, and look at my old apartment building that I used to live at, which was a shithole, by the way. They had major sewage problems. Let's see, at least 2 buildings did. I don't know if the other buildings did or not, because there was at least at least 6 or 7 buildings, but at least 2 of them had shit problems, sewage problems, and yeah, it was totally like gross. And they even, not long before I moved in, they were renting that basement right under me apartment. It was like a 1-bedroom apartment. But then it became so nasty with the shit water, because the shit water would come up from a hole this big back in the back of the basement, like this big. Why they couldn't block it off, I don't know. But there was a sewage treatment plant just right there. I guess that has something to do with it, just right there by the parking lot. And this is all in real life. And it would happen 1 to 2 times a year. But I think the rain did have something to do with it one time, but another time it's still backed up, and we did not have any floods or rains or anything, so it would still do that even when it wasn't raining. But the rain, if we got a lot of rain, that did have something to do with it as well. But the shit water would get, you're talking, it would get about, because you could go down there and see the line on the wall. It would get about 2 feet deep. It didn't just get a little bit, it would get like 2 feet deep. And of course, they never fucking told you that when you moved into the shithole. What they told me was, they're like, we give you free storage down in the basement. And they're like, just don't put anything right on the floor. And they had pallets in there. They had pallets in each little storage facility. The pallets are only like, 3 inches thick or whatever, 3 or 4 inches thick. Or high. They didn't tell us the shit water gets 2 fucking feet deep. So, a lot of my shit got ruined, but, nothing was valuable. I didn't put no computers down there and shit like that. But I did look on a video recently, a few years ago, and the same, he looked like a professional guy. He was walking around, same fucking shit going on, same fucking shit problems. And I lived there 20 fucking years ago. And like, if you only knew, you know what I'm saying? And, but like I say, some of the other buildings may not be having problems, but those 2 buildings were. The building across from me, because I was on the first level. I didn't have any problems. I didn't live down in the basement apartment. But the building across from me, they also kind of had a below ground, semi below ground apartment. And the guy told me, he's like, yeah, we're moving out because all the shit water is seeping through the vents. And so that building was having a problem, at least the people that were living below ground. Like, I didn't have any shit problems until I wanted to be nosy, and I went downstairs to look at the damage. And, I didn't have any problems in my apartment. But then you kind of had, after that would happen, you'd have to deal with, an odor, a musty odor and crap and moldy odor I mean, it was now it would probably really bother me because I don't like any freaking smell. But yeah, so I had to put up with smells and stuff. And the funny thing is, the first time it happened, they told us, you know, to not go down there because they were going to sanitize and stuff. Well, the second time around that it happened, because see, I lived there 2 years and like 7 months. That's how long I lived there, about 2 years and 7 months. The second time it happened, I looked down there, I opened the door and I looked down there, and there was a shit water, you know, 2 feet deep, right down the bottom of the stairs. And those assholes, like, they did not even tell us. And that fucking place, it transferred, you know, management several times too. Yeah, check it out. It's called Mission Valley Apartments in Prairie Village, Kansas. Big shithole. So make sure you don't, if you know somebody that lives there or whatever, or that's thinking about moving, don't move to those apartments. And so anyway, yeah, so anyway, that was all in real life and stuff. Because that plays a role in this lucid dream, okay? Okay, so the lucid dream started out, I was basically in my car. And this is not the first time they've given me these awesome, long, drawn-out scenarios, like on the backside of that building, because that's where I lived, and that's where I would normally park. Sometimes I'd park out in the front. Most of the time I'd park in the back. And yeah, I mean, many lucid dreams, but they never made it to video, because that was many, many years ago. But so this isn't the first time. Okay, so this lucid dream, out-of-body experience, I basically was in my car, and I drove up. My apartment was all the way to the back. My studio apartment was all the way to the back. And so basically, I wanted to go see, I was visiting Kansas City to go see my old apartment. And probably other things too, but that's all I did was see my apartment. And so I got out of my car and everything, and I don't remember knocking on the door or whatever, but I ended up in my studio apartment that I used to live in. And this was like so cool. Except, and this time, there was like a college student, a white woman, a college student living there, and she was actually, I don't remember knocking on the door, but whatever reason, I made my way into the apartment even though I wasn't living there. Under the scenario, I knew I hadn't been there. I hadn't lived there in 20 years. I just wanted to go visit it to reminisce or whatever. That was all in my brain and everything. That was all a part of the scenario. And like I said, I don't know if I knocked on the door. I can't remember. But I ended up walking around the studio apartment, but there was somebody living in there, and I started talking to her, and her mom was also visiting. She looked about 50, and the younger woman that I started talking to, she had light hair, and she was a college student. Like, she looked about 25 or whatever. And I was like, yeah, I used to live here. And I was looking around at her stuff, and it was very, very clean and tidy. You know, she had the bed, and then she had a little dresser over here, and it was all spotless and clean and tidy. She had a bed, she had a dresser. But when I looked over there where the dresser was, you know what? There was not a fireplace. In the scenario, there was not a fireplace. In real life, there was a fireplace where her little... but in the scenario, the aliens didn't put a fireplace in there, but everything else was exact to a T. But when I looked over there where the fireplace should have been, was her little dresser and everything, and it was all tidy. And I remember the mom, we kind of talking and having some conversation. And this is the funny part, because I totally remember this part. And so I was telling the woman, I was like, yeah, you know, I haven't lived here in 20 years, and I miss it, and I even started crying and stuff. The aliens can make you do that, too. It's real funny. And I was just like, oh, boo-hoo. And that's not the first time they've done that in a scenario where I was missing something. It's like I was missing that shithole. I mean, I do kind of miss, you know, living, you know, back then, sort of, because it was 20 years ago. But I don't really miss the shithole part of it. And another thing, the pool must have got backed up with shit water, too. Because I went out to the pool one time, and it was like, danger, don't get in it. So the shit water backed up in the swimming pool. Another time, and I actually did get into the water, which I probably shouldn't have. Another time, I wanted to go swimming, and there was like a man and his daughter in the pool. This is all in real life. A man and the daughter, and the water had already turned algae looking, like greenish aqua color. And it was just algae form, but I went ahead and got into the water, but I didn't stay in there long. And then, like the next day, the maintenance man, they were like, yeah, too much algae had formed because they didn't put enough chemicals. So now we're gonna have to shock it. So yeah, that was just a real shithole place to live in. But I didn't think it was right at first. When I lived there, I didn't really think it was till later on. But okay, so okay, here's the cool part. But that was the cool part where I started crying, and I was like, yeah, I lived here 20 years ago, and I just miss it. And I was like, reminiscent, and I was sad, that I live there now, and blah 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 blah. But here's the funny part. Okay, so I hurried up, and because I wanted to go down into the basement to see if there was still shit problems. This is all under the scenario. This is all thoughts in my brain under the scenario. Okay, so I hurried up and went out of the apartment. I went down the stairs. All of this was to a T, like in real life. I went down the stairs, pretty steep stairs. It's not just a few stairs, pretty steep. And I started looking around. Okay, there was no washer and dryer over to the right like there used to be. And there was no storage areas either. There was no storage areas anymore. But I started looking around, and I noticed, and I was like, yeah, they're still having shit problems. Because all the paint was buckling up. You could tell there was all this water damage because all the paint was like buckling up from the floor, like chipping and buckling up. Like you could tell it had major water damage. And, but yeah, and that was very virtual. I mean, this whole experience was virtual reality. It was like, B+ experience. It was out-of-body experience, virtual reality, lucid dreaming. But that part was cool. But there was no storage. I mean, there was nothing down there. Actually, nothing. The washer and dryer was not there anymore. In real life, there was the washer and dryer right there. And then over to the left was all the storage units. With the little wood doors. And then you had to, use your own lock and stuff. Nobody ever tried to break. I think I did hear people breaking into them when I was there. But nobody ever tried to break into mine. Probably because they could tell I didn't have anything valuable. But I got just some, shit damaged. I got a lot of my yearbooks damaged from high school. And I still have them, but they got damaged. But I didn't have anything real valuable. They got damaged. But, yeah, so that part was cool because I knew that was on my brain. I was like, okay, I got to go down to the basement and see if they're still having, shit problems and sewage, flood problems from the sewage plant or whatever. There's just a small little sewage, I don't know what you call it, station that was just right there by the apartment complex. And there's a bunch of trees right there. I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but I'm thinking it probably did. But why there was a big fucking hole this big down in the back part of the basement, because that's where all the water was, the sewage water was coming from. I have no idea. They couldn't block it off? I mean, I don't know. But I did call the fucking health department on their fucking ass. They probably didn't do shit about it, but I did call the health department back in 2002. And I don't know if it did any good. Obviously it did not, or they still wouldn't be having shit problems. But it just almost seems like, they really need to make the whole basement off limits. And then, of course, like in that other building, they need to just not rent out, whatever apartments is having the shit problems. It was only 2-level apartments, 2 levels. So, of course, if you're on the top floor, you're not going to be having any problems. But I was on the first floor, right under the basement. I mean, it was real creepy one time because it was like, I stayed up late back then because I worked nights. I stayed up till at least 5 o'clock in the morning, sometimes 6 o'clock in the morning. Normally, I'd go to bed about 4:30 a.m. But, and then I'd get up about 1:30 p.m. And, but one time, I was like, roaming around my apartment at 2 a.m., walking around, and I would hear, like, noises, and I'm directly under the 1-bedroom apartment that used to, exist and be livable. And, because somebody told me it was just a couple years that they had to condemn it, before I moved in. They couldn't rent it out anymore because it had so much shit water and water damage. So, and it was really disgusting too, because I always would go down there and be nosy, kind of like going into an abandoned place. and it always had a musty smell. But it had major damage. It was major decay, by the time I moved into that top apartment. But so I was directly, I was on top of the basement, and directly underneath was that one bedroom apartment. But like I heard noises sometimes. Well, sometimes the boilers, I think, would make noises. I think the boilers made noises sometimes, but the boilers weren't directly underneath me, and so yeah, that was kind of creepy. That's probably aliens, because they can make big noises sometimes. I mean, one time, right when I moved to Austin, Texas in 2006, I was on the third level, and Patty was very intuitive. My little Patty number one. And so I was sitting there in the living room, me and Bobby, and I kept hearing these big, loud noises in the bedroom. It was a one-bedroom apartment in the bedroom. And Patty would be like, like she knew there was like aliens in my bedroom, making these big old thuds and shit. And but anyway, the other funny part is I went out on the balcony, and like I saw this big, huge handprint, like on the window, like the highest part of the window, but it was like massively big, like that big. And I did think it was kind of odd, even though I didn't know the aliens were around me then. I mean, I thought it was just spirits and ghosts in my spirit guide. So I don't know if that was like an alien print or what. But, and the other funny experience I had was I went outside at like 2:30 a.m. playing with Bobby, because I worked nights back then too. I was playing with Bobby, and outside, and it was a perfectly still night, no rain or anything like that, perfectly still. Clear night, not a cloud in the sky. And that's when I saw the ball lightning, which is not ball lightning, it's just all alien shit phenomenon. It was just a big, of course, from a distance, it looked like as big as a basketball, an orange ball. It was, pretty close, but it just looked about as big as a basketball, but it would have been much bigger to see it from that distance. And it started in the sky. It just goes up like this and down like that. Just like, ooh, like that. Like an upside down U. I told the guy behind me that I worked with at work, and he's like, oh, that's called ball lightning. And so I looked up ball lightning, and I can't remember if, I think I just believed it. Okay, that's what it was. But then, of course, many years later, now I know that that's just all alien phenomenon. It's not ball lightning. Oh, and then he told me, he's dead now. He died finally, but I can't believe he lived as long as he did. Nobody could believe he lived as long as he did, because he had major congestive heart failure. But he just died like 2-3 years ago. And, I mean, he was doing real bad in 2006. But, oh yeah, he told me, he's like, yeah, that's called ball lightning. And he said, yeah, one time I looked out my window, and he said he saw like a white blob of light, like go up and down his fence. And so yeah, that's kind of cool. But okay, baby. Okay, I think I'm done talking. Tori, you're so mean. Okay, I gotta eat. Okay, thanks for listening.